Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to be discussing and put out there a prophecy watch concerning Maria Conwell's prophetic word on the cryptocurrency token called Sandbox, which trades under SAND. If you guys remember, back in July, she put out a prophetic warning that Sandbox was going to be in the news, that Sandbox's toast basically becoming worthless, and that there was going to be some type of news that was going to cause it to basically crash. Now, I'm also going to touch on some things that are related to Sandbox, things that are going on in the metaverse, the NFT arena, APECOIN, Axie Infinity, and also the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, and what they're doing as far as this part of the cryptocurrency industry doing with the metaverse and the NFTs. I'm also going to give you guys an update on what my trading strategy was when Maria Conwell first put out the prophetic warning. I told you guys I was going to short sand, and so that's what I did, and I'm going to give you an update on what actually took place. Now, before we get into that, I am not a financial advisor. I am just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and also the About section of YouTube. Now, folks, there is a lot going on in certain parts of the cryptocurrency industry that maybe some of us aren't really paying attention to much, especially dealing with the metaverse, right, and NFTs. And I think that this whole entire area of the cryptocurrency markets is getting ready for a shock. All right, so before we get into Sandbox, I'm going to discuss the SEC and APECOIN and the Bored Ape Club and all that. Because this article right here that came out on the 11th of October, and it says here, SEC probing Bored Ape creator Yuga Labs over unregistered offerings. The key legal question at the center of the probe, according to Bloomberg, is whether NFTs are securities. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is probing Yuga Labs, the creator of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT collection, over whether sales of its digital assets violate federal law, according to a report from Bloomberg citing an unnamed source close to the matter. Now, the SEC is also reportedly looking into how ApeCoins, the Ethereum-based governance and utility tokens used within the Ape ecosystem, were distributed to holders of Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, and Bored Ape Kennel Club members. The tokens were first announced in March with the establishment of the community-driven APECOIN DAO and the Ape Foundation. 62% of the fixed 1 billion supply of ApeCoins was allocated to the ApeCoin community, including 15% airdrop to existing NFT holders. All right, so there's some issues going on with the SEC. They think that they violated some federal laws, and so this did have an effect on ApeCoin. ApeCoin actually, at the time when this happened, was trading around $5.15 when the news came out. It dropped that day down to about $4.71 and is now currently trading at $4.51. Now, I know that ApeCoin does have a very strong following. They have a very strong community as well. And so it's probably one of the reasons why ApeCoin did not just massively drop. But this does have an effect on that whole realm of the metaverse and NFTs, right? Because when this news came out, it did affect Sandbox too as well. And so I personally do not own ApeCoin. That was one of the ones that I missed. But at this point, we don't know how the SEC and how the investigation is going to turn out. So at any moment, there could be some violation of some laws. There could be a type of announcement that could have an effect on ApeCoin. So if you do hold Ape, you might want to consider putting in some stop losses, right? So currently it sits at $4.51. If there's some type of massive drop, I might put in stop losses around $4. Just digging deeper, what's going on with Yuga Labs and the SEC, this is going to be something that's going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of other companies that may have done the same thing. This article here, if Yuga Labs, BAYC are unregistered securities, what does that mean for OpenSea, which is another place where people that trades NFTs and so on. And so this could be just like a roller coaster that could have a major effect in the NFT markets. I just want people to be aware of what's actually going on. I don't own any NFTs, but people are or might be invested in NFT-related cryptocurrencies. So when I was doing the research, I came across this article. The feds are coming for the metaverse from Axie Infinity to Bored Apes. Now, wasn't that prophetic, right? This article here, because this came out October the 1st. The announcement, what the SEC was doing, came out on October the 11th. So it says here, expect a regulatory reckoning to come swiftly for Axie Infinity, Bored Apes, and other projects that have thrown caution to the wind. Now, I'm not going to read the article, but the title and what's in the content suggests that the feds are going to be, and actually they already are, going to be going after some of these companies, and you're probably going to see a lot of issues and maybe some other things that are going to come out in all of this, right? And we don't know what type of investigation the SEC is doing. What if, say for instance, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club or Yuga Labs or whatever, maybe they made some major financial mistakes, right? Maybe some things weren't disclosed. Maybe they might find some corruption. You have no idea what could come out of this. So, this is just something else to be aware of, but keep in mind what they said in this title of this article from Axie Infinity, right? And we'll get into that after we discuss Sandbox. All right, and then now I want to discuss Meta and this whole thing with Metaverse and, Meta, that used to be called Facebook. And if you look at some of the headlines, I don't have to go in and read all the different articles, but like it says here, most Metaverse users don't even make it a month. Meta's flagship Metaverse, Horizons World, struggling to attract and retain users. Meta documents show main Metaverse is losing users and falling short of goals. Okay, so there's a lot of issues, folks, in the Metaverse. And if you remember, Mark Zuckerberg put billions and billions of dollars into the Metaverse at the height of when everybody was all excited about it. And now you can see that, it's not working as well as they thought. They thought that people were going to be staying at home and putting these goggles on, right, and playing around in the metaverse. But you know what? At a time where this world is at right now, with job losses, inflation, you got all these military conflicts all around the world, you got shortages, there's all types of things, and people can't really focus on enjoying their life and putting on goggles and just going off into the metaverse. Right? Reality is here, and this world has a lot of issues, and we're getting ready to go, and well, actually we already are in a recession, and if there is any type of major military conflict, nobody's going to give a crap about the metaverse. Whatever metaverse or NFT cryptocurrencies you might hold, you might want to really take a look at and think about whether or not if you want to continue to hold on to those. Let me show you an example, folks, of what's actually taking place, right? There's this tweet here that was on October the 10th. It says, popular YouTuber Logan Paul purchased this NFT for $11.623 million in 2021. Today, it's worth $3.50. Now, this was the ridiculousness of the NFT markets. Artwork like this, money just being thrown away, in my opinion, and you can see how much it's worth now. And this is also, you can relate this to the wealth transfer as well, because whoever, or is either one or multiple people, made money off of this NFT, and they made $11.623 million. Your wealth transfer is coming. And you couple this with what's going on, the NFTs and the SEC basically going after everybody, it really doesn't really look good for NFT market and the metaverse. All right, so here's the video that I did. You guys can go back and go watch that video again, which also links to the original prophecy video. But in this video is where I told you guys that how I was going to play this out with Sandbox, and I did take out a short position. Now in that I discussed several articles. There was all this excitement about Sandbox metaverse users hit 2 million, right? And they're getting all these deals with all these different companies and popular music artists and so forth. So, when I heard Maria Conwell's prophetic word on this, I was like, man, there sure is a lot going on that seems to be pretty good. But the deeper you dig, and that's what I did in that particular video. And this was the main article that came out on May the 10th of 2022. It's a really good article, and it says, are you sure that Sandbox and Decentraland can survive? Now, when you look at Sandbox, back then they had 2 million users, right? Their valuation was $4 billion, which is a fourth of what Roblox valuation is, right? But with 202 million users, right? Sandbox's revenue was only 46 million, and you look at Roblox, it's $1.9 billion, right? So there's definitely something odd going on with that. I talked about that. I also talked about how Microsoft and you had Meta and Apple and Google and even Samsung are all getting into the metaverse universe, and they have access to way more people than 2 million users. Right, so this article was back out in May. Compared to its competition, you can see that 2 million users compared to Roblox's 202, Minecraft to 200 million. So when I made that video, I was like, man, there sure looks like Sandbox is not really taking off like it's supposed to. Then you look at Decentraland with a 3 billion valuation. He didn't have any numbers on how many users at that time, but its revenue was only 15 million. So there's definitely something going on there too as well. And a lot of this has to do with how many users are actually using the service, how much money they're actually making. Sandbox and Decentraland, over the last few years have raised a lot of money, and their valuation, if you look at it, is way over the mark. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play Maria Conwell's prophetic word. I'm not playing the whole video. I'm just going to play a few minutes of it so you guys can hear the prophetic word for yourself before I go any further. Right, and so the video to this link will be down below in the description. You can go to her YouTube, One Small Flame, and also onesmallflame.com, where she also puts out her prophetic words.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Maria from One Small Flame, and thank you so much for joining today. I have an interesting word today from the Lord. As I was waking up from sleep, the Lord showed me a few different things. So first of all, this is from this morning. This is from 7/10/22. And this is also a warning concerning the cryptocurrency Sandbox. Now, I don't own Sandbox, so it's interesting that the Lord shared this with me. Sandbox currently has the cryptocurrency ticker of SAND, or SAND, and the price is about $1.16. It was as high as $7-ish I saw over the last year, but it's been basically going down is what I've seen with the rest of the markets. So as I was waking up this morning in my dream, I saw a red graph directly going down. So kind of looking like that. It hit a certain level and I didn't see the corresponding numbers. And then it went down again and looked more like a slow staircase or wedge shape down, sort of like that. And then I saw another line going up, and then this line was also red. So a lot of red candles, a lot of red, like everything was red. So it was a red candle down, and then it was a jagged, stepwise down even further, and then after that, a red candle up. I don't know how far down it was going. I don't know how far up it was going. I heard Sandbox is in the news. Sandbox is in the news. And I was looking at some candle information from traders, and I saw this little graph here of this red candle down. And at the bottom, you could see one of the reasons why you can get a red candle down is what this person says is we can assume that there may have been some news or information that caused such a drastic change in price. So I think that is the reason why Sandbox is going to drop, because I heard in the spirit Sandbox is in the news. Now, I don't own any Sandbox myself, but I felt in my spirit, oh my gosh, whoever owns Sandbox should get out now. So I really feel like this is a Rhema word. This is for whoever owns Sandbox, which isn't me, but it could be some of my viewers. Please realize and take advantage of this. The Lord is trying to protect you. This is an emergency exit. Get out now. Of course, you need to pray about it. Make sure that that resonates with your spirit. Make sure that that's part of, you feel that this word is for you. The next thing that I saw was a boy going to a trash heap and picking up what appeared to be a pale colored burnt up toaster out of the garbage. And so I believe what the Lord is saying with this image that he showed me is that Sandbox is going to be toast. It's going to be worthless like garbage. Very sad face. So please pray about taking profits now and getting out of Sandbox.
So you heard her prophetic words concerning Sandbox. Sandbox is going to be in the news. Sandbox is toast. Basically, Sandbox is going to end up being worthless. And so this piece of news, whatever it is going to cause Sandbox to drop dramatically. Now, I do want to look at some articles in relation to Sandbox. Not only Sandbox, but also Decentraland. Right? You can see some of the headlines. Decentraland has a 1 billion valuation, but only 8,000 daily users. That was a day ago. 1.2 billion metaverse, horrified by report. It only had 38 active users. This billion-dollar metaverse claims it has 7,000 daily users, not 38. So basically what happened was there was some information that came out, and it looked like Decentraland only had 38 daily users. So this information that came out, not only did it affect Decentraland, but also Sandbox. It says here, data from the DApp radar suggests that metaverse platforms Decentraland and the Sandbox each have fewer than 1,000 daily active users despite $1 billion valuations. The platforms say these numbers don't tell the full story. So then what happened was these platforms, both Decentraland and Sandbox, they came out saying that they refute this information about its daily active users. And to me, after just doing research, I still don't really know, who's actually telling the truth. This article says that Decentraland's September data shows 56,700 monthly active users, but only 1,074, or 1.89% of those, actually interacted with Decentraland's smart contracts. All right, so you can see 56,700, that's it, and you got a valuation that's almost a fourth of Roblox with 202 million users. So something is way off. And so that's why if you do hold Decentraland too as well, you might want to decide to get rid of that and maybe even put in a short position, because I think what's going to end up happening is that Decentraland and Sandbox are going to crash together. So Sandbox refuted the data suggesting its platform has low number of DAUs, stating on Twitter that it has 201,000 monthly active users, right? Which isn't very much, again, when you look at its competition and its valuation. But I think the whole picture really basically says is that these companies really don't have a lot of active users compared to what you see as far as their competition. These companies, Sandbox and Decentraland, really don't have a fighting chance with this competition, coupled with what's going on with our economy. People can't afford, to be messing around in the metaverse, right? How many of you right now have actually messed around in the metaverse in the last year, right? Ever since there was all this hype about it, did any of you buy the goggles to wear? But I think the most important thing is, out of all this, is that Decentraland and Sandbox aren't really doing all that well, and they are overvalued. So we look at Sandbox is currently sitting at 80 cents. Now, when Maria Conwell, you saw when she did put out that video, and when I put out my video, Sandbox was actually around $1.16. Now, like every other cryptocurrency, it did come down from its high. I was actually, let's see, back here at the beginning of the year, around $2.75, hit a peak of around $3.70. and ever since then it's been coming down. When she came out with that video, which would have been July the 10th, and this is where around where I took out my short position when I came out with my video when it was around $1.16. Actually, what happened was is that it actually went up to about $1.49 within a few weeks of me making that video, and slowly, eventually, it came back down. But it rested around 92 cents, and that's when I closed out my short position with Sandbox, and I converted my short position into buying more Luna Classic. So now you can see that Sandbox is down to 80 cents. So even if I held on maybe for a few more weeks, I don't think it would have mattered. I think when I closed out my short position with Sandbox, Luna Classic was a lot lower than it is right now. Now, when I took up my short position, I wasn't margin trading. I did the KuCoin version of leverage tokens, right, where basically there is no liquidations. And I'll go over that here in a few minutes. And so since we did talk about the entire NFT and metaverse market, we can go and click on here on CoinMarketCap, look at the metaverse coins. You got Ape being the number one coin at $4.57, Decentraland 65 cents, Sandbox 80 cents, AXS Infinity $11.25, and I'm going to talk a little bit about AXS Infinity too as well. What I am doing, I did take out some more short positions on Sand. Like I said before, I had taken out a short position at $1.16. It actually went up to $1.49. And actually, now that I remember, when it did reach that peak, I did take out even more short positions. And thankfully, it did come down because, I was worried a little bit, but, there's no liquidations. You just have to wait to see what happens. And basically, it did come down. And then I sold off, exchanged my Luna Classic. Now it's down to 80 cents. And I'm seeing some of these news pieces dealing with Sandbox and their users and everything that I discussed before in the previous video. So looking at all this news that's going on with the metaverse and Sandbox and Decentraland, I'm pretty confident that I can take out short positions and just wait for that news to come out. And whatever happens, it's going to be Sandbox is in the news. Now, what could cause some of these things? It could be like a SEC investigation. It could be a major hack, maybe something that's going on illegally inside the company, maybe something to do with their user information or their daily or monthly active users, because that's really, when you think about it, folks, they're really overvalued. So as far as its valuation now, obviously if the price is down, then the valuation is down. But compared with the number of users they have compared to, other companies, folks, probably it's just a matter of time before this thing collapsed. So if you are involved in Decentraland or Sandbox, you might want to consider getting out. AXS Infinity, you saw the article where it talked about the SEC going after those guys too. So just doing some research with AXS Infinity, because I'm really thinking about, man, if I was to short this, who knows what would happen if AXS Infinity crashed to like under $1 or maybe even down to, below 5 cents. And so I just wanted to take a look at some news. And we have here back on October the 12th, AXS Infinity player count falls back to January 2021 levels. The number represents a 74% decrease from peak levels witnessed just 10 months ago. All right, so they are having issues with that, and just doing some other digging. There's all types of other issues. A lot of people were, banking on this as part of how they live on a daily basis. Players in other countries really thought that they could actually make a really decent living, playing the AXS Infinity game. It says right here, the drop is largely consistent with an intense bear market in the NFT realm, where trading volumes across digital collectibles have dropped 98% since January. And also, AXS Infinity was exploited for $600 million. I had forgot about that. Here's another article from September. Play to earn video games like AXS Infinity promised a lot but have failed to deliver. And so these are just like people, like I was saying before, people are not making the money that they were, and people are just getting bored with this stuff. People just got bored with Sandbox. People are getting bored with Decentraland, and they're getting bored with these games. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take out a leverage token short position or not on AXS Infinity, but that is something that I'm thinking about. And, what if Axie Infinity doesn't survive? Right? There might be some news with the SEC, and that $11.27 could turn easily into $1 with all the things that are going on with the SEC and user engagement and people just, getting bored and moving on to other things. So, folks, now I'm getting ready to share with you as far as how to take out a leverage token short position. Now, this is a little bit different than margin trading. There is no liquidation. So I just wanted to share that with you. There's actually two platforms that I use that you can do this on. One is KuCoin and the other one is MEXC. Now, there is a difference. Both of these are international platforms. KuCoin, if you live in the United States, you cannot attach your actual bank account where you can send money back and forth to your bank. You can make purchases, like one-time purchases with like your debit card, maybe PayPal, or maybe some of those other services. You can do that. But also MEXC, right? You can do that too as well. But I can't attach my bank account. I can transfer funds to my bank account and also upload funds directly from my bank account. Now, if you live in Canada, there are different provinces that have different rules and all that stuff. And so I'm not too for sure about that as far as what you guys have available in Canada. But the links to both of these will be down below in the description. So MEXC, you can't attach your bank account. KuCoin, you can't unless you're outside of the United States. See, if you're outside of the United States, then you might want to just go ahead and use KuCoin. So also KuCoin has the beginner's guides to KuCoin leverage tokens. All right, and I'll try to remember to put that link down below in the description as well. But what are the advantages of KuCoin leverage tokens? No liquidation. Right? Although leverage tokens are featured with leverage, they are still the spot trading type. Therefore, no matter how the price of the corresponding coin or token changes, there will never be a liquidation. So right now I'm on KuCoin. If you guys are looking for, how to place that, get that pair showing up on your screen, you're just going to do a search for it. So I type in sand. You can see the 3 times short. So once you select that, right, we're already here on the screen. So just to share with you guys, I'm going to go ahead and place an order, but I'm going to show you how I do it. It's very simple. It's just like placing an order for any other cryptocurrency. So I'm just going to do 50% of what I have left just to show you guys. And you can see my order here to buy 1,300 shares of SAND 3S at 0.017133. Right, so it's just as simple as that. So when the price does eventually drop down, whether it's in the pennies or under a penny, and this is just like investing, right? You invest in a crypto to go up. Well, this is kind of the opposite, where you're basically saying that this company is going to end up going down. Right? Their shares, the price of their shares are going to go down. So that's all you're really doing. And I think that's one of the reasons why God really showed her. I mean, I know that there was some people that may have been holding on to sand, and sand was on the prophetic list. And I took it off because of what this prophecy was. And, sometimes when we do get a prophetic word about a particular token and it makes a major run, we have to consider that that might be it for that particular cryptocurrency or token, that its prophetic word ran its course and now it's done. So now we're on the opposite side of things, where God has given a word about Sandbox becoming toast. And so for me, I think this is an opportunity that's not related to the overall markets crashing, right? We talk about the flash crash and the flash spike. And this has to do with something in the news, that it was going to become worthless and it was going to crash hard. All right, so I think personally that this is going to happen before we see some of the other events take place. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but I'm just sharing with you guys what I currently see right now. I mean, you got all these things going on with the SEC. All we need to start hearing is more announcements dealing with more metaverse crypto coins or tokens, right? And people, they're just not excited about the metaverse anymore. They don't care so much about NFTs and Bored Ape and all that stuff. I would want to get out of those, especially some of those people have paid like we saw with Mr. Logan, right? So with all the things that are going on with the SEC, people getting bored of these metaverse platforms, people aren't using these platforms, you know, they're going back to their old gaming platforms and so forth. People are just moving on, right? And these platforms don't have the users to match their valuation. And these, unless, you know, like Google or somebody else buys Sandbox or some other company, that could come down the road in the future. You have no idea. I know that Rosalind Solomon talked about getting it when it actually crashes, because eventually it will come up. Wherever it crashes from, it's going to come up some from its bottom, right? And then maybe at some point down the road in the future, that it might become, you know, more valuable again. Maybe not as valuable as it was, but who knows? You know, Google, Microsoft, anybody could come along and say, hey, we want to buy you. And then all of a sudden, you know, it jumps up 5,000%. So to me, this is part of the wealth transfer when we get prophecies like this and we have the opportunity to even place a short position, you know, and take advantage of that. And that's what I'm doing. And I think, again, I'm going to say that I think this is going to come before any type of major crash, or maybe even before Shiba Inu and Luna Classic and some of the things that we're expecting. So I'm not sure how much longer that this is going to be, because you know, Maria Conwell gave this word on July 10th. I came back, I think, 4 days later and posted a video about it, and that was back in July. So we're looking at, it's been at least over 3.5 months. So something is getting ready to break as I look at everything that is going on in the news concerning the metaverse and Sandbox and Decentraland. And I think we're about to see Sandbox become toast. So we're just going to keep a watch and see what happens and see where this goes. And so with that, I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.